Lords, several months ago, as a new member of your Lordship's House, I made a proposal for a special investigation committee to try and get consensus around the various numbers that have been bandied around today. My intent wasn't to rerun the debate about whether net zero is a good thing or not, but I wanted to have a mechanism where we could have an honest reckoning with the public about the expense of reaching these targets. Because at some stage, the public needs to be helped to see the reality of the situation that applies to them personally, in terms of their finances, comfort and mobility. They need to see the reality of the world as it is, not through the starry-eyed rhetoric of 2007, when 2050 seems such a long time away. The longer we leave this reckoning, the more expensive it will be, not only in cost, but in public support, and the mountain we have to climb will be steeper. So the need for candour is urgent, because we're starting to see the cumulative real-life consequences of all the well-meaning initiatives promoted in the name of net zero. This month, 1,100 people lost their jobs at the Luton van plant, and more besides. The exploration industry has been exported from these shores, an industry where we had global leadership, and particularly in my own hometown of Great Yarmouth. They've all decamped, with taking their investment expertise and tax revenues with them. We've seen the taxing of glass bottles, which not only reduces the pleasure of opening a bottle of wine, but has hammered the local pub. New green airfares make it more expensive to take the family abroad to escape the economic gloom. And we now have the dismal prospect of GB Energy trying to find uses for carbon capture and storage. I never believed for a moment I'd agree with Baroness Jones of Milscombe, but she and I are as one on that issue. Now, I don't believe in wasting energy. It's bad for business, it's bad for the taxpayer, it's bad for our children. In my own business, Scope 1 and 2 emissions are down by 30% in a year. As a council leader, I reduced our emissions by 70%, to the extent we disconnected the gas heating from our office. So efficient we made it. It can be done. But there is a long-term transition problem to be solved, and we can't ignore that we're paying twice for every kilowatt, once for the renewables and once again for the backup. We have the highest energy prices out of 25 countries, and electricity costs are 4 times that of gas on a kilowatt-hour basis. Far from reducing energy costs by £300, the energy price cap has risen by 18% since July. It's unaffordable. Now, governments trumpet reductions in emissions, but we're all paying the price by deindustrialising. And I want to spend a moment to think about the net zero systems that counts emissions in the UK only. So it leads to the insanity of allowing Drax to present itself as a green power station, while cutting down American forests, transporting them across continents and oceans to be burned in North Yorkshire. My lords, if a steel plant shuts down in Scunthorpe and we start importing steel from India, it counts as a British carbon win, even if that steel is produced using Russian oil or the most polluting Chinese coal. And it leads me to the madness of CBAM, the emissions trading scheme, and the free carbon allowances, which are tariffs by any other name, but are astonishingly bureaucratic, expensive and complicated schemes that seek to address carbon leakage, but the effect of which is to export British jobs to other parts of the world with weaker standards. So we've ended up in a situation where the primary production of ammonia has been chased from our shores to less efficient places, which does nothing to reduce global emissions. And amazingly, our government's CBAM proposals fail to reward factories that somehow reuse and recycle carbon into other industrial processes, whilst allowing the most polluting producers to fall back on less onerous default mechanisms. By this insanity, we're actually introducing fiscal incentives to use the most polluting coal-fired ammonia production over the most efficient gas-fired factories closer to home. That's the reality of the rhetoric, and you can still be in favour of net zero whilst recognising that the accounting systems are actually taking us down the wrong path. Because, my lords, we have sleepwalked into an insane synthetic economic accounting model that lives only in the minds of Treasury wonks, not in the real world, but whose victims are British steel workers, glass workers, ceramicists, car workers, and precisely the people that the Labour Party was established to represent. Now, we're not going to fix these problems by building a high-cost inflationary tariff wall around our economy using smoke and mirrors accountancy techniques. For the longer we take to get real on the actual costs and consequences of net zero, the longer this accounting insanity will continue. And I'll give you an example. DEFRA recently did an analysis of carbon accounting techniques on British farms and found there were 86 competing measurement tools. It's crazy. Look, we're nearly halfway there. Now is the time to pivot from simply wishing for net zero to focus on the real-life numbers and valuation methods to test the affordability at a family level of the path we've set ourselves out on. We owe it to ourselves to stop the transition of a proud global trading Great Britain into a deindustrialised virtue-signalling Little Britain, sanctimoniously standing alone while everyone else digs and drills, while British industrial jobs are destroyed on the altar of decarbonisation.